Have you ever had a distraction in your business? Have you ever had a situation where you had to step away from your social media platform, even if it was for a short time? And you wonder, oh my goodness, how can I go back? Like, will they even know who I am? Well, let me tell you, there is hope. And that is exactly what happened to the guest we have this week. We are going to be chatting with Kim Jones of Salvaged Living, where she shares with us the secrets of being able to bounce back and never skipping a beat. So tune in and let's hear from Kim Jones. Hey, my friend, it's Melanie Ferguson, your host of Creatives on Fire, the podcast where I hope to inspire you to create a profitable six-figure following online. So turn it up and listen in to amazing stories of success, along with behind-the-scenes secrets and valuable tips from, you guessed it, Creatives on Fire. All right. We have another CraftAthon coming up right around the corner. If you are not familiar with the CraftAthon, it is an amazing 48-hour adventure for your online business. So it is where we gather 54 expert crafters to present projects online to the public. This is hands down one of the fastest ways to grow your audience to a six-figure following. And you do not want to miss out on the next one. It is going to be Saturday and Sunday, June 5th through 6th, 2021. I encourage you to check out all things CraftAthon at craftathonpresenter.com. And I'm excited to see what this does for your business. Join us on the inside. I'll see you there. Welcome back to the podcast. And this week we have a special guest, Kim Jones, my sweet friend from My Salvaged Living, the blog. And I'm so excited to have you, Kim. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Melanie. I'm glad to be here.
Yay. Tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got started.
Sure. My name's Kim and I live in Texas, just like you. We're kind of almost neighbors. But I started blogging about 6 years ago and just started kind of like a hobby blog, I guess. Just felt very called to it and had never read a blog. But anyway, I just started. It was a lot of fun. And I kind of worked at it over the years just as a hobby, but it's just grown into a business and now my full-time job in the last couple of years. And it's just fun. There's so many opportunities online and I just have a good time kind of exploring all of them.
Yay. And so what is the best fuel, would you say, for this blog that you love? Like when you say opportunities, do you feel like the online opportunities start maybe with your social media? And if so, like how many followers are you at now?
Well, it depends on the platform. I just hit right around 197,000 on Facebook. Facebook is, it's great. But Facebook's actually pretty much the bread and butter, I guess, driving force. I get a lot of traffic to my blog from Pinterest. I have, something like 11,000 followers on Instagram. I don't love Instagram as much. But I think that all of the different followings that you have work together. It's very synergistic. And when one's up, they all kind of go up. But it is a numbers game. People say that numbers don't matter. And there's a degree that is, I think, kind of true. You do have to have, your numbers have to be full of the right people versus just numbers. But clearly everything escalates with numbers. So, but Facebook is the driving force behind the traffic that comes to my blog, the traffic that goes to my online store, and just really kind of the core of my business.
Awesome. So would you say that there's any secrets to how you've grown over, like how long did it take you to get from 0 to almost 200,000 followers?
Well, I mean, I've had a Facebook page for 6 years. I wouldn't say it took me 6 years to get there. I don't know that was my goal at first. I mean, it was just a place that I, posted and did things. I would say that in my opinion, right now, if you want your Facebook page to grow, you have to be doing video, whether live or recorded. I mean, it's just pretty much almost not an option. And I think the biggest word that I wish I could tattoo on my forehead, just do all the time and tell other people is consistency. And then sometimes that's really hard for me because there's a lot of different aspects and a lot of hats that you wear in an online business when it's your own. And you can get pulled a lot of different directions. But if growth is your game and your goal, then consistency is the key. And that means, if you're going to go live once a week, then go live once a week. If you're going to go live once a day, then, do that. The more you do it with good content, then the faster you're going to grow. So that timeline is somewhat up to you, I think.
I love that. I agree. Yeah. And I think it's the easiest thing to do is just to do the same thing over and over and over, but it's like the hardest thing to do.
It is. And there's times it can get discouraging if you do a live and not many people are on it, or you don't feel like it went well, or people are mean, all those things happen. And that's where I say the consistency comes in. You kind of have to put the blinders on and say, no, I'm going to continue doing this. And it will pay off. It doesn't feel like it every day, though, when you're in the grind of it. But then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, I have 197,000 followers. Like, I can remember when I was wanting to break 1,000. I really remember that. And once you get going, if you can continue, it really snowballs quickly, I think.
I agree. It does. It's kind of like each little plateau that you get to, 1,000 followers, 10,000 followers, 50,000 followers, it becomes a little more, it just goes a little smoothly. And
there's less time between those goal gaps, I think. Like getting from 1 to 1,000 seems horribly hard. And then 1,000 to 10,000 is hard. But then you get the 10 to 20 is not so bad. And then 10 to 30 is a little easier. It's not easy. It's just, it feels like it happens quicker. It's just more momentum. And that's where you have to stay consistent because the momentum is a real thing. And so if you stop and start, which I've done that over, last year was just kind of a rough year for me personally. I didn't work a lot. My momentum was not there. And so I'm getting back in the game and it's already paying off. The consistency is already paying off. So the consistency and momentum, those are two huge words, I think, in your social following.
Definitely. And let's talk into a little bit about when you do fall off the horse or you do lose track or you're distracted. How do you get back on? How do you start back up? Did you have to do anything special to revive your page or did you leave it in a place where you could pick it right back up?
Yeah, I feel like I think people, and I do this, maybe people don't, I do, but I think people overthink it. You think, oh my gosh, everybody's going to think I was gone. They're going to wonder where I was, and they don't. They're just glad to see you back. So I would just say, just hop back on in there because they don't follow you as continuously as that you think they do. I mean, I didn't go live for a really, really long time. And once I started going back, everybody's like, oh, it's great to see you again. Nobody skips a beat. They just keep on. So just, don't feel like it has to be this big announcement or this big plan. Just literally do it. Just get up and do it.
That is so good to know. That is so awesome. It takes a lot of the pressure off too. If you are constantly putting that pressure on yourself of what if something real life happens, or what if I can't be present all the time, or what if a family member gets sick and I have to not be able to do all the things. That's a great thing to find out.
Yeah, well, one of the great things about Facebook last year when I wasn't going live a lot, I was still scheduling old content on my Facebook page, and it still kept my blog alive and afloat last year when I wasn't really feeling like doing new crafts and new things. My old content was still keeping me alive. And so that page, once it's there and you have that audience, you have multiple ways to serve them. And so it's really important to build that audience so that you have them in place to kind of keep you going through those down days.
And I love the fact that you're recycling old content because that just means that at some point you definitely were consistent. So back to that whole consistent thing, if you can be consistent for a set amount of time, you could be set for life if you only wanted to recycle content.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of really successful bloggers who have such a small amount of content and they're great at recycling it. So I think it is, content is king. People say that all the time, but it's true. If you have something to give your audience, then, you're constantly growing your audience, and that's new eyes that haven't seen your old content. So it's just a cycle.
I like that too. There's always someone new. And honestly, let's just be frank. Facebook doesn't show everything to everyone.
Right.
And they most likely have not seen it before.
Well, and your fans don't care. They want to see it again. I mean, I have some diehard ladies that follow me. They are awesome. I love my ladies. And, I'll share something that I feel like, oh God, I probably just shared that. And they don't care. They're like, oh, I remember that. Thanks for sharing that again. And, oh, I loved that when I saw that last year. I literally have never had somebody say, you just shared that, or I already saw it. Never.
Right.
197,000 people, and no one's ever said that to me. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So don't be shy.
Don't be
Recycle
shy.
the old
Recycle.
content. I love that. So speaking of, let's switch gears. What, if you don't mind me asking, is your workflow? Like if you were trying to grow your page to the success level that you've reached, is there something you should be doing weekly to make sure that happens?
I'm kind of an organized person. I know that everybody does things differently. I've got a content schedule that I just go by that works for me. And I would suggest that, like, decide what your commitment's going to be. Are you going to do a live once a week? Are you going to do a pre-recorded video once a week? Are you going to do 5 a week? Make it realistic, make it have some wiggle room. And then I would plan out your content. And I try to work at least a week ahead and sometimes 2 weeks ahead, at least on my calendar, where I have supplies ready. I know I have what I need. I can get, hop on that live when I need to. I have an ongoing list of project ideas, of things like that, so that when I don't feel creative and I feel a little bit dried up, I always have that list going that kind of will spark some creativity for me, or just know that I have something to fall back on. So a calendar, I mean, I have literally a desktop, like one of the big desktop calendars, and I have a girl that works with me for our store. And so she helps me sometimes to fill that out and just do some pre-planning. And that's probably the biggest thing, because if you wait till that day, you may wake up and not be able to think of something to do, and then you won't do it and it doesn't get done.
I agree 1,000%. So, but I love the fact that you're specific about staying about a week or two ahead, because it's not probably good enough to just stay a day ahead. I've fallen into that trap before, but I did find, like you said, the more that you can plan, even the night before, it leaves a lot of less room for excuses, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think what we're trying to do right now in my office is take one day, whether it's usually Thursday or Friday, to prep for the next week, so that all of we have buckets for each craft, and like all the supplies are in the bucket. We're ready to go. I have to just grab that bucket and ready to go live. And that has been like dreamy. It's dreamy when it works out. So if I could get to where I'm a couple weeks ahead, that would be great. Just makes it smooth and easy. And we all need that.
I agree. I'm telling you, one time ever, I waited to the last minute, and I know that can be, we're creative and we have these supplies that maybe aren't the most organized. And we walk out to your space where all of them live. And it's just like this, what did I put together? And that's not a good place to be right before 10 minutes before you told yourself you would be there.
No, it's not. It's too much to think about. It's like a bomb went off. It's too much for sure.
I love all the buckets.
Yeah, that was my friend's idea, and it's been a really good one. So yeah, I like that idea too. But I just think content, just being really organized with it and setting goals. I mean, I know that's kind of really obvious, but if I don't set goals for what's going to happen, what is my goal? Is my goal growth? Is my goal sales? Is my goal blog post traffic? What is it? And doing projects and lives and videos that point toward that goal. Yes. Whatever that is. So if you're in growth mode, sometimes you have to let everything else go, work on growing those numbers, and then you can take a breath and work on sales or blog traffic or whatever it is. So I think that's important too, is to not always try to do all the things, but maybe like laser focus, even if it's just for a month, on getting that goal number, getting to 10,000, getting to 100,000, whatever your number is. I think that's important.
That is. So, you would suggest to post with a purpose and know that purpose before you post.
Yeah.
And that way you can be more focused and, have a better, higher potential of hitting your goal of followers. So that was one of my questions was, what advice would you give yourself back when you only had 1,000 followers?
I have a couple of things of advice I think I would give. Number one, I wish I would have just stuck with it. I think there's this like breakthrough point, and it's very tempting to stop or switch gears right before you're about to hit the breakthrough. And when you're smaller and have those little numbers, it can get really frustrating when they're not moving, the needle's not moving as fast as you want. And I have this feeling that if I could go back, if I would have just kept my nose, down and kind of grounded out a little bit, just a little bit longer, they would have come a lot faster. But I would get discouraged and I would think I needed to focus somewhere else. And, I would shift gears, and I didn't give it quite enough time. And I've done that, in different parts of my business before. The other thing I would say is advertising dollars are not bad to spend. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing to spend money on Facebook ads or in whatever your social media choice is. But I hear people all the time talk about, I'm not going to pay to play. And I think that's ridiculous. If you owned a brick and mortar store and you're downtown and there was 10 other brick and mortar stores that sold the same thing as you would do some sort of advertising to make your brick and mortar store stand out. And so you're not paying to play, you're just paying to get your content in front of the right people, and they're going to choose whether they like you or not. I mean, just because they see an ad for you doesn't mean they're going to follow you or come over or watch your live or any of that. But there is a lot to be said about putting your name at the top of the list. And so I kind of encourage people to play around with Facebook ads. They are something you have to give time to work. They are not overnight success. And sometimes those feel like they're not working and you need to stick with it a little bit longer. But they are a huge part of a lot of people's business. And I think they're a smart part of a business if you really want to grow your following for the purpose of business and not just for like a vanity number. So I wish I would have done Facebook advertising earlier for sure.
Well, tell us a little bit about what that looks like when you talk about stick with it long enough. Like, what does that look like? How
With the
long would
Facebook
you
ad?
run an ad? Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've gone phases where I keep one running all the time. So you have to try different things, see what ads are resonating with people and what are not, what are, watch your numbers, see what's working, what's growing. But Facebook will take some time to get to know your audience. And so you have to give them time to learn who to target. Even if you're doing a retargeting ad or if you're doing a lookalike audience in Facebook, it takes them a little time to figure out who the perfect person is for you. So you wouldn't want to run an ad and 3 days later be like, well, I didn't get any traffic. That didn't work. It's a little more long game kind of thing. I would run an ad for at least a few weeks before I decide to trash it and start a new one. But if you see that you're getting results, I mean, you can leave it for a couple months and then it's probably time to refresh it and kind of start fresh. But I would definitely, and I've heard people do that. They boost a post, they do something and it's like they do it one day and then they say, well, my numbers went down after that. Well, of course they did. You're paying to be in front of a bunch of people and then it went down. So it's not a 1 day thing. It's not a 1 or 2 day thing. It's weeks.
Yes, definitely. It's kind of like the event that I hold every quarter called the CraftAthon. And when people participate in that, they get this huge influx of new followers. And the key is what you do with them immediately afterwards. So making sure that you are staying in front of them, staying relevant, keeping their attention, and pulling them into your fold.
Yeah, you have to be ready to serve them when they get there. Yeah. And so that's one of the things too. I think it's important, but I wouldn't wait on it, is like being prepared. Like when you do grow or you get that viral something and, all of a sudden your page size doubles overnight. I mean, those things happen. And so, having the right things in place to capture emails or to be able to divert them to your blog or whatever your goal is, your store or whatever. I mean, you have to have those things in place to really leverage that Facebook traffic because that's what we're doing it for, right?
That's exactly right. And I know I've been at the bad end of that deal as well before. I had a viral video and I didn't have it. I wasn't available yet to have the ad revenue to have it monetized, but I also didn't have anything in place to collect followers and collect emails and all the things. So it was just, oh, goody, I had a viral.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the first things you have to do off the bat is collect emails. You have to have an email list in place. If you don't, stop right now and do that. I mean, even if you're little and you think it's, 10 people and half of them are your family, like you just keep trucking, keep your nose down. That list will grow, but you have to have that in place. It's just like you have to.
I agree.
Sure.
I agree. It's the key. So let me ask you, we'll close with this. What maybe motivated you or inspired you through the tough times? So basically, what got you back up and going when you were down?
I would say ultimately, I really felt called to do what I'm doing, and it's become such a gift. It's a fun business. There's fun people. I love the ladies that follow me, like I said, and I love that I get to use my creative brain. I mean, and so when I think about what the alternatives are and, what different kind of job would I have or what other kind of business would I do, I can't think of anything that I would really enjoy making money at more. And so that gets me out of bed to go conquer another day. I mean, just that. And I definitely feel this is part of my purpose. So that's probably the most important. But luckily, I get to fulfill some of that purpose with stuff that I really like to do. And I hope that I help other people. So I don't think you can beat that.
I agree. I feel the exact same way. So let me ask you, Kim, where can everyone listening find you?
At salvagedliving.com or salvagedlivingmercantile.com. That's the store that I have that goes with my blog. But between those two places, all of my social media is the same. It's all Salvaged Living on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest.
And how important do you think that is, that it's all the same?
Yes, you have to make it easy on people to find you. I mean, the more direct your name is, the better. So definitely. And you know what? I actually rebranded a few years ago. And that's probably something I should have done a lot sooner. So just starting out the gate with a name that's easy and where you can get it uniformly across all the social platforms is really important, I think.
Good to know.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. This has been fun. I appreciate you popping in here and just giving us a few wise words of advice to follow.
Well, thanks
and
for
I
having
look
me.
forward to seeing you grow even more.
Well, yes. Thanks so much. I appreciate you having me.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, my friend, for listening to the podcast. I'm blessed every single time you come back and listen to an episode. It's especially amazing when you share it with others on social media. So be sure to follow Creatives on Fire online. Listen, if you have not already done so, I want you to go ahead and download the 5 ideas I personally used to explode my online audience growth to a 6-figure following. You can find that at creativesonfirepodcast.com. I appreciate you, and until next time, stay inspired.